Come now, all you mangy dogs. Swab the decks and hoist the sails. The guns on board be needing some proper manning. Pieces of 8 and a fine wench on your arm. If you work, be not too shoddy. Careful not to flounder too badly, though, or you may have to dance the hempen jig as we see you to Davy Jones. The Chaffee, my boy, on with the show.
Welcome, everybody, friends, folks, foes, and fellow pirate mateys, to our latest weekly edition of Pirate Radio Podcasts. It's episode number 358, this year's 2025 annual Samhain, a.k.a. Halloween Roundtable and Openhouse. Aiming, of course, as always, to bring together a range of colorful world personalities to discuss all things Halloween and Samhain. However you choose to look at it, October 31st has long held major cultural significance for many people around the world. While the panel does its best to hash it all over, we also invite you, the listener, to share your best spooky, ghost, and other miscellaneous spine-tingling stories with the Peanut Gallery end of things. You can do that by logging on to DLive via YouTube, through Facebook, or even on Telegram. That will do the trick. So if you're plugged into any of those social media platforms, more than welcome to join us here in real live time. I myself, of course, am your host as always, the Robin Hood's Chief Communications Officer, Jaffe Ryder. We encourage everyone to drop by the main website, WPRPN.com. You can sign up for free. Be sure as well to take a look at the show description end of things. A lot of great, very helpful URLs and social media links. Hopefully you find to be of some interest and value. If you'd like to support us, keep in mind we have a Patreon presence, always open to accepting digital love via DLive and elsewhere. We have merchandise up for grabs, courtesy of places, including, not least of which is galacticfire.com. So do take note of that. Pirate One Radio at protonmail.com is our email address. If you have any PayPal donations you'd like to send our way, half of everything we do manage to generate goes directly back to charity. We're heading into the Christmas season here, not too far down the road, and it will be our 11th annual Operation Secret Santa. So this is one of the main ways that what you offer, we can help to pay forward, as it were. So not only do we have our annual operating expenses covered, largely we run strictly out of pocket here, folks. This is not a money-making enterprise. Doing this entirely for the greater, good of humanity, really, when it boils right down to it, truth be told. But yes, once again, half of everything that does come our way is earmarked for the less privileged, as it were. Hashtag WWRHD. What would Robin Hood do? Liking, commenting, sharing, remembering to hit subscription notification buttons, always very helpful and appreciated. It doesn't take much to do that, of course. and passing word along to friends, family, and co-workers. So now we've got a couple personalities here that have connected with us so far. We'll be getting them live on camera here in just a few moments. I've got a few behind the scenes matters to take care of in the lead up to that. But Robert and Alan, why don't you both start by, I guess, introducing yourselves? There's bound to be some people out there in the listening audience who are not all that up to speed on your particular backstories and why you're here this week, obviously. So why don't you take your time and letting them know that? Starting, I guess, with Robert and then over to Alan. And we'll see who else drops in over the course of things. There's bound to be probably, I'm guessing, one or two more people trickling in through the door as time goes on here. Mr. Robert Morningstar via Manhattan, USA.
Well, I'm Robert Morningstar. I live in New York City, Manhattan. I'm the host of Revolution Radio programs called the Morningstar Report. I publish the Morningstar Report on Substack. You can find it by going to robertmorningstar.substack.com. I've lived here all my life. I'm a acknowledged master of
starting, I guess, with
Tai Chi.
Robert, and then over to Alan. Hang on a second.
Yeah,
that's as we take care of getting Telegram launched behind the scenes. Sorry about that. We got Facebook to do as well. Carry on. We are listening.
Okay, I'm here because it's Halloween and it's a very important holy day for me. And I have a long life of experience with ghosts all my life. I am a medium. Sometimes I say necromancer facetiously, but I've had a lot of experiences with ghosts, and I thought tonight I'd share some of the more important ones with you. So back to you.
Oh, that's great. Thank you very much. And people can find you on Substack. The address?
It's my name with no space, robertmorningstar.substack.com.
Pretty easy to find. Mostly you write on subjects including ufology, the JFK assassination, all the latest
general world news, I would say. I covered the Israeli war against Iran and why they attacked at the time that they did. I also extensively cover the JFK abductions and ET implants. So it's all part of one big, beautiful universe. And Halloween, I feel that witchcraft in particular is intimately tied to interdimensional beings that we call ETs or gray aliens. And the people of the Middle Ages were easily convinced that they were talking to ghost spirits or the devil himself. So that's my take on it. I'm a Jungian psychologist, and I've counseled people for 60 years on how to recover from alien encounters, alien abductions, exposure to the radiation of UFOs. So and Tai Chi has been my vehicle. I thank God that I learned Tai Chi at 22, and I've been doing Tai Chi for 55 years. So you can do the math. Back to you, and back to Alan.
That's quite something. 50. That's incredible. That's about as old as since 69, I guess. Go ahead, Alan.
Yeah. My name's Alan Mosdale. I have a YouTube channel called Amos777. I do an occasional news show, and I play a bit of music. I've just recently come back from a couple of weekends ago to Canberra, filming protests, the digital ID protest with a bit of a washout, really. It got rained and no one really turned up. week before, it was the March for Australia to stop mass immigration. And as usual, the police didn't turn up, and well, protesting doesn't really work, I think. But hey, you've got to be able to do it. As far as Halloween's concerned, I know very little about it. I was sort of, it's an old sort of like tradition that's been around for quite a few hundred years. I'm sure I've seen a little bit of about it, but it's just starting to get hold here in Australia. You get kids going around doing this trick or treat thing, and I don't know whether that's a good thing or not. Is it? Yeah.
Did you
Going
never
up to strangers' doors and knocking, ask for a candy?
Yeah. Did you never go around
Again?
trick or treating as a kid?
No, no. Well, when I was a kid, it was not a thing in Australia. Just that it was one of those things those funny people over in America did. We knew about it, but it wasn't really celebrated. But it's become a thing in Australia now. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't. Okay.
It's yeah. It worries me somewhat. I don't see the point of it.
More.
But as Robert was saying earlier,
Mhm.
actually about ghost stories and things like that. I've got a ghost story for you, but we'll get to that later.
Okay. Oh, that's great. Yeah, we'll hold that. Keep that to your vest for now, I
Yeah, well,
guess.
yeah.
Definitely. And I'd like to get.
See, Sonia's in the house.
I'd like to. I see that. Yes, that's great. I'd like to press Robert a little more on how, not now, but just a little later in the show as well, regarding how all the legacy of
Sure.
elves and fairies and ghosts and ghouls. I can see
Mm.
how there would be some overlap,
Well,
definitely
that's
with
right. It's
ETs, but not
I
necessarily
don't have a lot of
exclusively.
experience with ghosts or anything like that, except for the one story. But my main thing in life is that I don't know. I will not say to someone, "Oh, that's bullshit," blah blah blah. Yeah, because someone else's experiences, you don't know what the other person's experiences are. Yeah, you got to live and let live, and just yeah. Well, I couldn't imagine being abducted by aliens and things like that. But then again, who knows? We all might actually be aliens.
But yeah, that's exactly who made who. There you go. So you do know, but you do know, you know
Yeah,
how
yeah,
to bake a
yeah.
really mean loaf of bread. How about that? And some
Oh, yeah, yeah,
specialty pastries and the like. I'm sure that's your thing. So that's how
yeah, yeah,
you. Hmm.
yeah. I'm quite a good baker, I think. You know,
How long you been at that,
maybe
by
so
the
I'm back
way?
too much. I'm sort of
20 years.
forever.
Well,
45 years or so.
no
Since
kidding.
I started my
Oh,
apprenticeship.
oh wow. How about that? Oh, by the way, and
Yeah.
this is a little off topic, but I did hear that there was the whole. We could get it. It'd be great if you could join us. Actually, maybe this coming uh, news week, the Tuesday night, as Wednesdays here, where you and I are concerned, of course. But
Yeah.
the whole pedophile scandal business and how it ties back, surprise,
Yeah.
surprise, to the political elite in Australia. That's finally making its way. The mainstream media is finally cluing into that, it seems, and taking note. Taking a while for them to do manage to
You're
achieve
breaking
that.
up a little bit here, sort of thing. But yes, I'd definitely be interested in that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
I was,
Good stuff. And you're Amos Dale triple
yeah.
seven, who you live stream from time to time too. I'm not sure if you
Yes.
mentioned that.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just Amos 777 on YouTube.
Right.
More so on Rumble, Do Live, Twitch, Kick, and yeah, I'm on them
Wow.
all.
Amazing
But
you
I
haven't
don't
been
have a
kicked off.
schedule as such at the moment.
Uh-huh. That's too bad.
Yeah.
That's unfortunate, but you do what you can, I guess, right? So, I'm amazed you haven't been kicked off of Twitch yet. We were a long time ago. We got our Discord back, one of them.
Yeah.
So this is just
Yeah.
outrageous. But anyways, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Well,
Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
I don't think anyone watches me on Twitch. That's why I'm not kicked off.
Ha.
My show always goes there, but there's hardly ever any viewers.
Well, the thing is, because you need to have a regular
Actually,
routine schedule. That's how people can say. It's
yeah,
like, oh
well,
yeah, there goes
I'll get
Alan
around to that
again.
one day.
Pardon me?
Yes, I'm a bit eclectic. Is
Yeah,
that the
yeah,
word? Yeah.
yeah, exactly. So thank you, Alan. Sonia, great, you managed to make it. You're the
Cheers.
witchiest crew member that we have here, so it's great that. Not,
Thanks, I guess.
pardon me.
Thanks, I guess.
Well,
You
you're
know,
like, how do you
Thanks,
self-identify,
sweetheart.
anyways?
just a human. You know,
But you're into
you know,
tarot cards, and I'm not sure what
horrible
else exactly. Bonfires out in the backyard about this time of year. Is that what
bonfires.
you?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, yeah. I mean, t-shirts, kind of thing. Tattoos,
You're not.
So
I guess I'm assuming you haven't put your face on yet. Is that right? All dolled up as my
no, I'm
dad
not
would say.
dolled up this
Yeah,
evening. Yeah.
right.
So
I haven't put my
I see
face
you
on
are
yet.
though.
I've got my Frankenstein
Fantastic.
face on. Yeah. Oh, jeez. Same old face
That's
as
your costume.
always.
Awesome.
Yeah. Right. So, okay. Well,
Yeah.
galacticfire.com. What did we have for you, anyways? Oh, yeah. Tits, tats, and tarot. It's got to have that
My God.
triple alliteration. So, yeah.
Uh,
Can we get away with that
Geez.
tonight here? One of seven, George Carlin's seven dirty words, the words you can't say on TV, but you can maybe during a live stream if you're lucky. So hopefully Robert wasn't too offended by that. But it's such a harmless, like you get like a brand
Yeah,
of chips or something,
I mean,
Yeah.
I'm just kind of rolling with it, I guess.
So I was thinking tonight we could actually cut away to commercial break. This portion of the show brought to you courtesy of galacticfire.com, in particular the pirate merchandise section of Signing Galactic's outstanding website, and we'll do a screen share. I thought we so
Okay.
don't let me forget. I thought that'd be kind of cool. Okay, everyone has had their opportunity then, I guess, to chime in and have their two. Well, hang on a second, Sonia. Samhain, and you know what the term means? Summer's end. Apparently, that's what it. It's. I guess it's old Gaelic or something.
It's
Uh,
actually the demon.
okay, let's
Right
hear it
name,
then. Let's
you
hear it.
know.
Oh, go ahead, Robert. It's the name of a demon, Samhain.
Yeah, Samhain is the name of a demon that rules the underworld and makes it possible for ghosts to cross over at this time of year. I'm reading it off an Irish website. I was reviewing it earlier today so that I could. Yeah, this deals with a battle, a war between two mythological Irish races, the Traith of the Donnan, who were ultimately driven underground to their mounds as became Sidhe, where they are known as the Sidhe or fairies. And the bad guys of Irish mythology, the Fomorians, who were in Ireland before the Traith of the Donnan got there. They were pretty monstrous
Wow. No
beings.
kidding. That's incredible. That's amazing. Yeah.
Or to conquer Ireland. And the Traith of the Donnan won and drove them off. But the spirits of these things are still around, kind of like the Nephilim. I associate these.
That's fascinating. That resonates with me in a big. I've got some ancestral roots that go back to the British Isles. On my mother's side of the family.
So it actually does start November 1st, but midnight on October 31st is when the window between the worlds, the veil is part, and that's when souls can transmigrate. But they can actually do it anytime there's a call or a need for them to interact with us human beings.
I would imagine. Sure.
It's a significant thing to have a ghost come into your life.
It is a good thing or not?
I said significant.
Oh, significant.
It's not always good.
You're right.
It depends on the reaction, how the person handles it. Some people are driven mad by it, and other people like me are driven to understand the reasons behind them. I understand the reasons behind them, so I have no trouble. I've had a lot of experiences with ghosts, in particular and I issue this as a warning. I've had a lot of experiences with ghosts who died violent deaths and were not justified, and with suicides. And when a person commits suicide, they think they're going to end their problems. But the problem is that when you got problems in this world, you have your mind, your body, your soul in one place resident, so you can solve that problem. But when you kill yourself, your body's no longer here, but your problems remain. And so then for an intercessor, an intermediary, a medium, someone willing to take on the responsibility of straightening out your affairs. So I've done that to bring several souls to rest, because the unjustified deaths, the murders, the suicides, they do not rest in peace, and they do not go where we're supposed to go. We're supposed to go into heavenly rest. But when your life is arrested, ended in an untimely manner, especially a violent manner, the soul has not fulfilled its purpose on planet Earth, and someone else has to do it for them to come to rest.
Mm-hmm.
Back to you.
No, that makes total sense. We've heard that story time and again. That well, I think, as you said, like with a sudden, tragic, violent death, along with just suicides being something that my grandfather was. I mean, he had Swedish parents, actually. So, and he was not Catholic or anything. Yeah, he had his own path. I think he was a wise man to some extent. This is on my father's side, but yeah, he felt that suicide was definitely a major sin, and that we were to do all we could to, as bad as things may be in our lives, or that we may see them as being, that we were to take it upon ourselves to work through them, and which includes even outreach, of course. Don't be afraid to, feel that you're anything less, because you need to reach out to others for some, some insight or strength or counseling, what have you.
Well, suicide is a crime against yourself and a crime against God. God created you for a purpose and a reason, and killing yourself is murder.
How about smoking cigarettes then, Robert? Because I've always looked at that.
Slow.
Yeah.
Tell people, if you know it's really bad for you, if you know that ultimately it's going to kill you, but not everyone is killed by cigarette smoking, or some people have immunity in that regard. I remember reading that a study was done of cancer rates in people who smoked, and they found a group of people who had chain smoked all their lives, and nothing untoward, no cancers developed. So they started studying their diets, and they found that those people who ate foods that produced a molecule called an indole, INDOLE, which includes carrots, Brussels sprouts, broccoli, and so on. You can look up the foods. Those people ate copious amounts of those foods, and they didn't get cancer. So there are things that protect us. I remember that very clearly.
Interesting.
Cauliflower, Brussels sprouts, carrots, so on and so forth. So anyway, I do believe that committing suicide is a murder of yourself, and also a crime against the universe. Created us, for each of us, for a purpose and a reason. We're not here for nothing. We're not here just to play on video games on the internet. And I think the secret of a happy life is the purpose, finding the purpose for which you were born, and fulfilling that purpose. Then you can die in peace.
Yeah, it's often been said that the two most important days of our lives First one is the day you're born. The second one is when you discover why you were born.
I would agree.
The reason for our coming into this world. So,
Yeah.
yeah, Allen's, I guess, is maybe in part is to bake bread, but also to fight the good fight. If set me straight on this, Alan, if you care to. But I mean, just look at each of us, how we're all on our own kind of path, right? And pursuing our passions.
I'm here to have a good time, entertain people, and make artwork.
Yeah.
I do a bit of art. I do leather work. Well, that's right. That's making. I'm not a bad cook too, actually. I must admit. I can cook. I can. Yeah. I'm not real good at cleaning up after myself, though.
Okay.
That's a bloke thing, I think. But yeah, okay. I think we're all here to do something. That's for sure. And yeah, well, as you were saying about smoking, yeah, I love Brussels sprouts and carrots and broccoli and all those sort of veggies. Yeah.
Well, I stopped after.
But I've got a cough.
Well, I stopped at around the age of 40. I just, as talk about synchronicity, had read about because I do believe it is a we're poisoning our temples, basically. You want the sacred temples that we have is why we should eat well too, or try to, and why the powers that be are just endlessly poisoning us with the crap that they put out, line the supermarket, the shelves of the supermarkets, obviously on mass. And these cigarettes are like they're legal. They're legal, yet they've been linked, and they've been linked to so many health issues, and they've got the warnings right on the packs, right there.
There's also the problem of the additives. They're not natural, Tobacco
it's not naturally tobacco, yes.
In natural tobacco, I'd be okay
with. It's a healing herb,
right?
But American companies in particular did really criminal things in the 1920s that they thought was going to maximize their profits. The worst thing they did is they found out that when plants were exposed to radium, there were mutations. The plants grew really big, but that's a form of cancer, if you understand it. But they thought, oh, this is great. Let's just dust our tobacco fields with radium, and we're going to get even bigger tobacco plants, and we'll have a bigger crop and make more money. And it turned out that...
what could go wrong?
Yeah, when I was in high school, this was discovered. They finally concluded that cigarettes cause cancers, and National Institute of Health did extensive studies, and they found that when you burned the tobacco, the American tobaccos, with the additives, some of which were meant to make it burn more slowly, produce tar, but there was a radioactive byproduct called polonium that they found in it, and the polonium is the main cause of the cancer.
Keep in mind, that's right, that they also, the same mega corporations, this is part of the, I believe would be like horizontal integration or vertical integration, along with the horizontal integration of the corporations, the way that the ownership end of things operates, that you would have, and well, we still have, it's very common thing, unfortunately, phenomenon, to have not only the cigarette manufacturers, same people that are investing in and heavily promoting tobacco, cigarette type, call them tobacco products, that they then turn around and then you find that they've got all kinds of money sunk into the medicine, the supposed cures for the illnesses that they've caused. So it's like heads they win, tails you lose, kind of deal. They've got all their bets
that sounds like
covered.
A conspiracy theory.
Well, it's just to open your eyes.
That sounds
people.
Like a conspiracy theory.
But anyways, we're here mostly. I'm not sure. They can get pretty spooky there at the highest levels too, I suppose. That's as far as Halloween or Samhain connections are concerned. There might be a deeper you know, this is, I really love where you were taking it there, Robert. Samhain, and then Tuatha Danann, as in the tribe of Dan. I know you've got a lot to say about them. I think potentially one of the lost tribes of Israel. That's right. And you can find the Danube and lots of Dans everywhere around on the map. That the powers that be, it seems, have done all they can, as they typically do. Just look at the Vatican's secret libraries, to occult and to hide. Speaking of Halloween, hiding so much. So this is partly why we're here, is to uncover, perhaps, and to investigate, untie the not the Gordian necessarily, but Celtic knot that presides over, because it is a complicated history. Apparently, it goes on thousands of years, and there's so much in the way of the religious, the syncretism that we've seen unfold. The influences, of course, from all sides.
The pagan influences. I wanted to talk a little bit about bread making. As
Okay.
I said, it's a sacred art,
right?
And it goes back to antiquity, and it was associated with the ancient god Pan. And that's why the Spanish people call bread pan.
The French do as well.
And pan.
Yeah.
Exactly. Panellone. The Italians have it too. So there is this tradition that harkens back to pagan times, because he was a nature god, harvest, fertility, and all of that. And so there was this ancient cult of Pan that lasted until the Christian era. And I as a kid, I loved, the icons, the Greco-Roman myths, and the Greco-Roman depictions of Pan and nymphs living in Arcadia. And so I'm an innocent little kid. I see it with innocent baby eyes. I like the beauty of the paintings. And then later on, I find out, oh, no, that's bad. That's satanic. The Catholic Church decreed. So what they took is the image of Pan, and they transmogrified it into the image of Satan. And so all of that rigmarole, again, was to hijack people's innocence, may I say, and awareness, and corrupt it and turn one group of people against another. So I think we should bear that in mind. There's also in the Arcana, all right, the secret tradition, the Holy Blood, Holy Grail tradition. There is this myth that Jesus is buried in Arcadia. And Arcadia, for those of you who don't know, was this ancient kingdom which was north of Greece, and it turns out to be Yugoslavia, Croatia, Serbia, and those regions. And so the Holy Blood, Holy Grail tradition believes that I believe it's the Blessed Virgin Mary is buried somewhere in France. And there was a painting by Henry Poussin called The Shepherds of Arcadia. And this painting is really interesting. I got to see it after reading about it for 30 years. It finally came to New York, and I got to see it. And the King of France killed a lot of people trying to get that painting. And the reason was that Poussin was an initiate of the Priory of Zion, and he knew where the tomb was, and he was there. So he painted the tomb, and he painted the mountain range in the background very explicitly, so that anyone who had the painting could find the position by geographical coordinates. And it is said that the man in the iron mask had something to do with that mystery. So what they believe is that Jesus Christ married Mary Magdalene, and that they had children, and that the House of David was reestablished in Septimania, this kingdom in southern France, which is around Marseille and the Riviera, and that the House of David was fostered there, then intermarried with the Frankish chieftains, giving birth to the Merovingian bloodline of kings, and that Merovee was the first king of the Merovingians, and that he had magical powers and superpowers, and they came from his hair. It's kind of the Samson story embedded in there. And then when Charlemagne was elevated to emperor by his father, Charles Martin, took over from the weak kings, and he installed Charlemagne as the next emperor. He married him to a Merovingian princess so that that bloodline would continue. And that's what they believe in. The divine right of kings to rule comes from the bloodline of Jesus Christ, which is flowing through the royals of the royal bloodlines of Europe. And these people who have this bloodline have this power to interact with the spirit world and to communicate with souls of the dearly departed. So let's go back to you, and maybe before we end the show, I'll give you a couple of two stories about what made me a medium and the two most powerful ghost experiences of my life, which have preserved me to this day.
Okay.
Thank you.
I think, are we here? Check 1, 1, 2, 1, 2.
I hear you.
No. I was the feedback loop thing. It's gone. It was just a one off kind of deal. So this is, I got a lot, with the Merovingians, for example. There's got to be a naval connection to that, clearly, with the en français, le mère, or mother, even, maybe too. You could say maybe mère, mother. Maybe, born of the water. Was that the book of the book of John? Which I just had the Gospel of John, I believe, as it's known. There's maybe a few different John Gospels of John, secret Gospel of John, which maybe not the one you find in the canonical text, but that the Gospel of Thomas was. The John was a rebuttal. The John they included in the synoptic version is a rebuttal to the secret, or the Gospel of Thomas. That aside, though, the Black Madonna is one of the things, talking about the south of France and so forth. Holy blood, holy grail.
I saw the Black Madonna. She's not in southern France. She's actually in Spain, in one of the highest mountains of the Pyrenees.
Okay.
And it was a harrowing experience to get up there.
Oh. As the Black Madonna, there was a whole cult. There was a whole cult surrounding her back, and it probably still is. Yes?
Still is, yeah. The first, Spanish history, they start the Iberian civilization with the migration of a group that came from France into Spain, that in Spanish they called Los Magdalenos, the Magdalenes. And that is what I believe is the birth of the cult of the Black Madonna. And the reason is that Mary was not Caucasian. Well, she was Caucasian, but she was of a Middle Eastern origin, and so she had darker skin than the white North Europeans. And I went to this monastery, way up in the mountains, and she's tiny. She's little. She's about big, but this whole church and cathedral has been built around it in a place that is so remote that I felt the loneliest place on planet Earth. When you look down into a valley from the Pyrenees, it's really staggering. But when you get there, there are thousands and thousands of crutches that were left there by pilgrims who went there for healing, and they had to crawl all the way up this mountain. And in Angora. It's amazing. But the Black Madonna, I do believe it is Mary Magdalene, and the Blessed Virgin is Mary Magdalene, and the Holy Grail is the womb of Magdalene, who bore the offspring of Jesus Christ. That's my personal myth, and it comes from my research into the Holy Blood, Holy Grail tradition, the book. There's another book that people don't talk about, which is the sequel to Holy Blood, Holy Grail, which is called The Messianic Legacy.
Mm-hmm.
And it's got the list of all of the families that are descendant, including the Sinclairs, Captain Sinclair.
Right, yeah.
The Sinclairs are part of that Grail tradition.
That's right. In fact, I think it was William Sinclair that tied to Rosslyn Chapel, a place I actually had the good fortune of visiting some, 26 years ago now. It's just the way time flies. Incredible.
I know someone who's married to the last Sinclair.
Oh, well,
Yeah.
Justin Trudeau.
I don't think so.
Well, he is a Sinclair. His mother is a Sinclair. That's why probably Pierre.
Maybe he can marry himself, but
yeah, I'm sure he would love to.
He would if he could.
He would. That's right.
Queen Justine. Okay.
Yeah. So, and that's with Pierre and Maggie, and her bipolar issues, and I guess maybe even who knows what her son. He's turned out weird enough as it is, but the whole Castro. I mean, Pierre had enough girlfriends. He seemed to be quite the playboy lifestyle was something that he was really known for. There are darker allegations surrounding his what would you say, sexual what is the word I'm looking, peccadillos, proclivities. Yeah, it's some pretty
inclinations.
But we always hear that sort of thing, because these are almost like ad hominem attacks, and they may be true, but who's really to say? You just smear them. People get smeared. So
I don't know if it's a smear when you see what has become of the ruling classes of Canada, England, France, and the satanic pedophile network runs it. I don't think it's a smear. I think actually a reality that they instituted, and Pierre Trudeau was one of the principals as far as Canada is concerned.
Bags of partying with these big, pretty sizable bags of cocaine, bowls of cocaine for everyone to indulge in, to whatever extent they see fit, basically.
That's the devil's drug.
And did you see that just from about a month or so ago, where was it Marcon was yucking it up with a few other state leaders on I think it was a train or there was some border stop in Europe, essentially, and you could easily look this up. Marcon and cocaine, that Jimmy Dore covered it. I don't think the mainstream did, of course, because they're the lapdog to that group, unfortunately. The globalists, and in particular, and their whole agenda. And ChatGPT does a pretty great job on that front as well. How does the expression go in carrying water, for the globalists? I think is how Tucker Carlson's put it in the past, is carrying water.
Water bearer.
Yeah, it's like we'll willing servants of evil. I gotta keep working with that catchphrase, because it's, I think, something that George Bush threw out there during it was a month after the 9/11 attacks, and he's like admitting to what the sort of chicanery, the murderous plots that they become involved in and that they execute, and he's just, I guess that's the way of revelation of the method. These cults of evil and the willing servants of evil, and they shed not tears. It makes them only stronger. Tears only make these people stronger. So and You can look it up. It's, I think, do you know the speech I'm talking about, Robert? So we're getting a little off track here once again.
I don't know what you mean.
Yeah,
But
but
on the Macron instance,
yeah, with the cocaine.
there's a big scandal controversy about his wife having been
Yes, well,
transgender.
yes.
And it turns out, I just got this news today that the surgeon who announced Brigitte Macron's transgender transformation was found dead in Paris.
You're kidding. Just in the
Yeah,
last day or two?
yeah, it turned out that 58-year-old François
Oh my God. Wow. That's,
Fouivre
yeah.
fell out of the window of
Oh,
his apartment.
oh, that
His
happens.
sister Anne Dupont, there's
So,
another one of those Holy Blood, Holy Grail names. Dupont is another one of those. Claims that Francois was not suicidal and that his death is likely related to the revealing
oh,
interview he was about to give soon.
well,
Francois Fevre was a colleague of the famous doctor specializing in transgender transformations, Patrick Bouilly. It was his joint photos with Brigitte Macron that formed the basis of the claim that she used to be a man.
yeah, yeah.
So,
Well, we'll go. Thank you for
so
that.
much for Pierre Trudeau and
So much for who?
his clan.
Yeah, I guess that's right. All one big club, and you're not in it. You and I are not in the big club. So Gully Rat, give a shout out to you here, and Just Mech as well, where we see you active along with Amos Dale over on D Live. Sorry we can't join you. Maybe if we get the other device up and running here with the we're running off of Linux, so it's a bit of an issue. William Henry Sinclair, thank you, Gully Rat. You're connected to Roslyn Chapel. Yes, indeed. And I got more of a story to share with that one. And I camped out for a couple of days right across across the other side of Roslyn Valley, I believe was known. And this is years before I'd read Holy Blood, Holy Grail. This is why I made the pilgrimage to France and then over to Scotland to Edinburgh to take in the festival and see the chapel. Had the good fortune of meeting with Van Morrison, riding on further with the Merry Pranksters. With Van Morrison was fine. It's no problems there whatsoever. People say sometimes he can be a little prickly, but he was great. I loved talking to him and his wit and acerbic wit, and he was great. I just I nothing but good things to say. I think he's wonderful. So he's probably got his off days. He's an eccentric artist or what have you. But Keezy, very aloof, very aloof. I did ride on the bus. Amazingly, there's a story to that too. Out of Edinburgh in the Fringe Festival, but Roslyn Chapel. This is '99, so back in the day, there was an eclipse in Berlin that we took in, and it was epic. We never did find Rennes-le-Chateau, however. We were aware of the Cathars, and I think it's known Montségur. So we were asking people in the area, and their English was not great. My French, probably even worse. But
Their French was great.
Lyon.
Gosh.
Well, je parle un peu de français. Je suis canadien.
No, I know. I studied French for 3 years, and when I went to France, when it was in northern central France, it was fine. But when I got to southern France, the accent was so strange. We needed to use sign language.
DK Spiracy.
Anyway, I'm gonna bail out. I'll be available for the second hour. Okay, but
okay, sure.
I have to.
Already.
I have to.
Great.
Okay.
Look forward.
I'll be here listening. I'll be here listening.
Okie doke. So thank you to Robert for his contributions. Of course, hope to reconnect with him shortly. We're going to be knocked offline here, as a matter of fact, in a couple minutes. Maybe we can remember to cut away to that commercial break with brought to us courtesy of galacticfire.com. Thank you very much, Sonia, and of course all the great merchandise she's laid out there for us, and a whole number of other personality. Do you want to tell us a little bit more about that Sonia, Zane Ivy, DK Spiracy. Who else we got there? A lot of comments. We'll get the comments maybe when we pop back in for the final hour here. But
What would you like to know, Jeffy?
galacticfire.com.
Yeah, you're breaking up. Can't hear.
Sonia's breaking up?
Yeah.
Sonia's
What would you like to know?
you sound fine. You're okay. You're okay here.
Yeah.
But just go ahead quickly because we're going to get knocked offline for the first hour at galactifire.com.
Yeah.
And the merchandise, along with other things.
T-shirts that are super cool, that are not normal type of T-shirt type of thing.
Oh, how would you and
mind expanding?
Oh, mind expanding.
Yes, mind expanding.
So you're saying that you've got the cotton is laced with some form of psychedelic then, or what?
That would be really probably cool.
That's doable. Yeah, like
it actually
mushroom shirts.
Helps you. Because maybe we don't have enough time to talk about this right now. How much time we got? Maybe 2 minutes?
Yep, maybe.
Okay. So if you're in the everyday mundane life of going to work every day, if you wear one of the T-shirts that you that resonates with you, then you'll be more likely to be able to stay in a higher vibration rather than succumb to just the everyday mundane grind, and share that idea with others around you.
That is true. That's right. I mean, yeah, it's an expression of who we are, I guess, right? An extension of who we are. And what people read into that is entirely in their mind, obviously. What we are trying to embody or project or emanate ourselves, that's our thing. But, it's
sometimes it's difficult with all the cognitive dissonance going on everywhere in the world,
And people,
when you have these types of ideas, it's difficult to maybe communicate them or to even stay in that higher vibe. So
that's right.
It's kind of a way to stay in the vibe, really.
Yeah. Do you say amp the vibe?
It's one thing. Stay in the higher vibe. Maybe amp the vibe.
That's a good. Take note of that. Amp the vibe. Maybe your next hot ticket item, big seller.
Acquire Vibe Higher is kind of one of my
Vibe Higher.
Acquire and Vibe Higher.
Or Vibe Higher. Yeah, acquire. Like, no, we need to get rid of things, man. It's like we need to enlighten. We don't need to get.
The T-shirt. Acquire the T-shirt and Vibe Higher. Yeah.
Why is your sound changing for the better now suddenly?
I don't know. Maybe it's the passion, Jeffy.
Have you got your face on finally?
No, I have not.
I'm
not.
40 seconds left.
Not one of those nights.
40 seconds left.
Thanks.
Okay, Alan. When can we hear from you next, Alan? When, as far as your show, when do you think?
Oh, in the next hour, I'd say.
Amos,
you're about 25 seconds before we get cut off.
Oh, we got one more hour coming up here. But after we wrap up, are you going to kick things off on your end?
Yeah, I'll be here for the second hour.
That'd be cool if you did that.
Sure.
But okay.
Yeah.
So we'll switch the screen. I'm not sure what's going on here. We got a blank screen. Are you serious? Come on. I'm not sure what that's all about, but we'll take another.
I see the screen.
Yeah. Well, no. What's going out to the live streaming audience? Just a blank screen, potentially. I'm not sure if I can.
I see Pirate Live.
No, I'm looking at the couple of screens and the.
Right, and there we go. That's an indication, or that should basically a sign, clearly telling us that I don't know why they've done this, what they were thinking. Skype. They've outsourced, I would imagine. What are the other terms? Outsourced, overseed. However it's outsourced. Oh gosh. So basically, you they probably have Indian technicians running the show now. Is what I would be willing to bet if they weren't already in the first place. But things, yeah, they've shook things up a little bit, and I don't know if they're making changes for the better necessarily. That's most unfortunate. So, oh, here we go. This is good. So, one place where we are making changes for the better, however, as whoops, let's see, she's got this funky stuff set up here, is over on galacticfire.com /pirate. That's where you want to find yourselves heading off to. So maybe what we can do is add that URL link to the live streaming end of things. Coffee mugs and t-shirts mostly up for grabs. Really the most reasonable price you can imagine or ask for. Only $1 or $2, finding its way back into the collective community coffers, and half of that is it goes to charity. So you're supporting a good cause, and either way you look at it. So all of these items here, galacticfire.com /pirate, whether the t-shirt edition, male and female, of course, or the coffee mugs. Something that you should be thinking about, or sharing the links with your friends, of course, if you reckon in any way they might be interested. Definitely something to consider. And yes, we will share that link here momentarily. And hopefully everyone has dropped out of the main end of things. We can reconnect with them and get the second hour started. I think it's really as straight up and simple as that. Something else I should mention is that we had potentially been looking at bringing on board a feature guest rather than taking the open house roundtable approach and format. Getting Jason McLeod to drop by and join us. But I think where things stand now is we're going to hopefully get him penciled in for a little later on down the line here in November. And we've got the December 15th date rapidly approaching. That's where Operation Secret Santa launches. So mark that off on your calendars. Be sure as well to drop by the website, WPRPN.com, and get the link. It's a simple drop-down menu, of course, and share it with your friends, family, and co-workers. That really would help us in a big way. It would help everyone. Just as a reminder, too, in case people are wondering, we do not solicit direct donations in any way whatsoever over the course of the 10-day campaign. It's as simple as that. So everything that we do manage to generate goes directly back to the grassroots. #WWRHD. What would Robin Hood do? It's heartbreaking. Each and every year we hear these stories of families that are just, they're struggling to get by, to make ends meet. And it's a real challenge. I think something that many of you can understand and identify with. But then again, there's potentially a few out there in our listening audience who it's not exactly the easiest thing for them to be able to relate to or grasp. It's Nobody said life was going to be easy. At the same time, it is really helpful when people do step up, and where they do find it within their means, um, show the kind of support that that others can benefit from, obviously, to keep them afloat and keep their lives on track. The Christmas season, I think, as many of us have heard or are aware of, it can be pretty challenging, of course, in a whole host of various fronts. So, but this is October, Halloween, Samhain, really is a focus here tonight. I think we've got all of the previous guests back on board. Sonia, Robert, and Alan. Thanks for the support, folks. Without you, this would not be a roundtable. It'd just be Jaffe talking to himself and maybe interacting with a few out there in the live listening audience while trying to unpack the odd little seasonal, tidbit item of lore, trivia, or what have you. So you definitely, all of you, bring a lot to the table. Sonia, I was thinking, we'd like to get into the ghosts too. We got to get into Robert's ghosts. I've had ghostly experiences, or the best. I don't know any other way of explaining the apparitions that I have seen. Not too many as of late, thank God. But there's been a few here where we're the studio, interestingly, and other. I think Robert's heard me talk about this alien language that just one night appeared on the wall next to us from out of the blue. It was like no language I'd ever seen before. It just flashed up on the wall, and really bright white colors. It was probably about at least 10 or 12 lines of script with characters running the whole length. So it was completely undecipherable to me. But what's interesting is that later on Minds, and I think I was really stupid, because even though I'm a little more open with the whole thing now, that I'm guessing it could only have been something like even though Richard Doty's now retired, and I don't think he's doing too well on the health front, unfortunately. One of the last shows I saw him on, I'm not sure what his former health status is, if he's talked about it, but even if he'll be available for, if he's doing any more on-air interviews. But there was someone on Minds who out of the blue said, "Hey, yeah, I was looking for anyone who's seen this sort of thing, this sort of script. They come across this in their travels and travails, and I don't know why I should have. Sometimes, all too often, I just don't think. I'm a pretty foolish guy when it comes right down to it, unfortunately. Not really thinking, and kind of cop to the fact that, from what I could tell, yeah, it's like, yeah, that looked pretty similar to what I saw here just a few months ago, I guess. Just looking back in the time frame, this is probably about 5 years ago now, at least. Really weird. And the first thing I thought was, this is like Martian. Really, I don't know how else can I describe some Martian? Definitely very alien. I've never seen anything on Earth like this whatsoever. So, and I think this person never got
Have you
back
ever
to
tried
us.
to copy it? I mean, remember,
No.
if you could remember a
Well,
couple of
yeah,
the icons, maybe
yeah.
you could try and find something.
I'll tell you what.
Because that's guidance,
Okay.
that goes back to the Bible.
Here's the
King
closest.
saw the writing on the wall.
Yeah, to see the writing on the wall. That's it. A good point. Well, I'll tell you what. The closest that I have seen so far, like, is not Egyptian, not Chinese. It was hieroglyphic though, or pictographic, I guess. And at King Ashoka, there are these stupas of Ashoka, and there's one. I'm not sure. There's at least one giant one in India. I think it's on the East Coast. It's made of iron, I believe. It's something material that has not really degraded over the years, and that's the closest that I could really compare it to, and something that it's been difficult, I think, for scholars to translate themselves. They may have had some success uh, uh, to some extent, I guess, but yeah. Anyways, there we go. But yeah, ghosts, and ghouls, goblins, spooky stuff. That people stories. Hang on a second. Why don't we start with Alan? Alan, didn't you say you saw a ghost at some point? You think you did?
Yeah, well, didn't really actually see one. I'll start just a preface first. I realised recently that most of us feel ghosts, sort of thing. We feel frequencies or something when things are around, sort of thing. And what I basically realised recently is that I've always been attuned to certain sort of things, like sort of thing, and I think most of us are.
Right.
Anyway, the story goes back in the 90s. Me and my missus, back in the day, we moved into this nice little old farmhouse on the edge of suburbia, down near Wild, place near here. And when we first moved in, the lounge room was a really, really cold room. It was just, you'd go in there, it's shivers, sort of thing, and we sort of realised there was something there, but sort of it didn't bother us. It was just sort of, then doors started slamming, and fucking drawers would magically fucking get pulled out and land on the floor.
Two F-bombs, that's 10 doubloons. You got one complimentary, but go ahead. That's amazing.
I didn't even notice. Anyway.
We do.
Well, it's part of the Australian language, mate.
Yeah.
And, well, anyway. And then after a while, like, you get doors slamming and things like that. That happened we were there about 10 years.
Jeez.
After a year or so, it sort of calmed down a bit. And then the lounge room, the really cold room in the house, changed. It turned into a really happy sort of place. All the energy seemed to have changed. The ghost or whatever it was still there.
Yeah.
But I think it liked us. Yeah?
Oh.
So the moral of the story is, don't worry about the dead. It's the living you got to worry about.
Yeah, I guess that's right. And the way that the Satanists too, like, not all, no, I don't believe all Satanists, engage in human sacrifice, but it is said to be a high satanic holiday. And of course, I mean, if I was a Satanist, of course it would be my high satanic holiday, right? It's like, yeah, let's get as dark and evil as we possibly can. Although that really wasn't the original spirit, excuse the pun, of what Halloween was all about. As far as I can tell, there may have been human sacrifice, however. I mean, all through pagan history and culture, we do find that. Although, then again, I mean, what is war? What is these when war and conflict that the governments around the world engage in and promote?
The bankers.
There's so much human abortion.
I agree. It's a smear. I think primarily the imposition of satanic overtones to Samhain is a smear on the part of the Catholic Church to hijack the congregation. One of the specialties that the Catholic Church developed was to not just hijack the congregation, but to hijack the location. Notre Dame was built on an ancient Druid sacred site, and so are so many other churches across Europe and in Ireland. But I do think it was a smear. It's actually, it's a harvest festival. As I told you, I was reading to brush up for the program. It was a harvest festival. It was the day when they brought in the cattle from pasture into shelter and celebrated. They also believe that with this change of the season and the dying of the light, right, that it opened a space, interdimensional portal that made it easier, like a window in space-time, that made it easier for transmigrations of souls, for departed spirits to come through to manifest on this, and for our own psychic abilities or our spirits to cross over into the other side.
Yeah.
And this tradition is really universal. That's why the Chinese go visit grave sites and take food and libations.
Koreans, we do that.
Yeah, so they'll take the essence. Now, this is interesting. They believe that the dearly departed, the ghost, can take the vitality, the essence of the food or the drink that's left there and be nourished by it or be propitiated. That's not that much different than believing that the host and the wine can be transmogrified into the essence, the thing called noumena and phenomena. The noumena is the essential reality, the eternal reality of the thing in itself, and phenomena is the external material manifestation of it. So that's one of the objections of Protestants to Catholic teaching, that the Catholics teach that through this ritual of the Mass, the host and the wine is transformed into the body and blood of Christ. But it's not literal, it's the essence. And the Protestants just totally object to that, so they don't believe in that, and they rejected it. They also reject the image of Christ on the cross, because that's not the important thing. It's not the death, as I said to you on Monday, it's the resurrection that's important, because if there were no resurrection, there'd be no Christianity, plain and simple. So,
yeah, I'm still struggling with that one, like puzzling.
It's so easy. Why? If he would have just been a dead man, a corpse in a cave, and nothing else would have happened after Sunday, everyone would have forgotten about it, and the Roman universe would have gone on with its barbarity, its totalitarianism. There would have been no feeding of Christians to the lions. That'd be different. But the gladiators would still be cutting each other to shreds. And the pirates, you know about the pirate battles in the Colosseum. They would flood the Colosseum and bring in two ships, which what you and I would call pirates, two gangs of warriors. And the two ships would go at it, and they'd hack each other to shreds. So,
yeah, I've heard about that. That's a good point. Yeah. Hey, isn't that technical term? Isn't it known as transubstantiation?
That's right. Transubstantiation.
Trans going across, sub meaning under.
Substance. The substance.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. Going under. But substance in the sense of a material thing being transformed into something else. Alchemy. It's basically alchemy.
That's right. And to make that connection with the hungry ghost ancestral worship rituals, that, as you say, like the Protestants here in Korea, they really are adverse to having anything to do with that part of ancient Asian, Korean, cultural practices.
Hungry ghost is not really the dearly departed, at the grave. That's a different thing. Hungry ghosts are vindictive demons that don't rest in peace, and they're actually enemies to people. And so I'll tell you this straightforward. One of the reasons that in Masonic murders or assassinations, they want to keep the heads, because they believe that if the ghost comes back, they just grab the head and show it to them and say, "Get the F out of here. I did this to you the last time. So get out of here and don't come back. And it's a talisman of sorts to keep the hungry ghost, the angry ghost away.
Trophy, most definitely.
Trophy.
A real trophy.
Trophy.
It's kind of similar into the way that the skull and bones are said to have, and this is old Prescott Bush, responsible for grave robbing, the tomb robbing
Geronimo's
Geronimo.
head.
Yeah,
and they had to give it back after like 60 years of litigation. And I'll tell you, I have never gone to Washington, D.C. I have gone to Washington, D.C., but I've never gone to Arlington to visit the grave of John F. Kennedy because I don't believe his body is in there.
Mm-hmm.
That's the story.
Yeah.
And I think that they kept his head. It's a trophy.
Right.
It's really, now that really is satanic, that whole murder. We just released a movie called The Cosmic Betrayal of John F. Kennedy. And I can put it in the chat before the night is over.
Right. Yeah. We talked about that this past Tuesday, and we'll get more into that again once again with the news. What I wanted to do first, though, I'd like to get the comments as well. But here from Sonia, let's keep let's just hand the talking stick off to her. I'm assuming she's still with us. I can't really see too much here. Does everyone see? Hopefully the screen share. Go. What? Just have you had any ghostly, out of this world, paranormal type experiences, or anything more you can add to the conversation as far as Halloween?
Not recently. Yeah, no, not recently. However, I did kind of sort of reconnect with the spirit world a little bit just the other night. But, it's kind of a process for me.
What was that all about? What did that entail?
Well, I was just hanging out with my friend Brooke, who initially kind of came and said hello. And, so that kind of happened a little bit again. And I think really overall what I'm doing is healing from having someone close to me just, leave.
Your friend Brooke passed away?
Oh yeah, that was years ago, but more so, I'm actually referring to Gary, my roommate, who I had here.
Right.
And since he had crossed the Rainbow Bridge, I just had difficulties connecting with the spirits, I guess you could say.
What happened? How did he overdosed?
No, he was an old guy, and he decided it was time for him to take off.
His body just shut down?
Yeah, it did.
He didn't look that old. He only looked like maybe he's about 50.
Really? Maybe we're not talking about the same person.
That was your live-in, on again, off again friend with benefits, correct?
My roommate. He was my roommate. We became best friends there towards the end. But I don't even know if I've ever shared a picture actually.
He was a real wild man, wasn't he?
No, not at all.
So have you had more than one male roommate over the years? Because you did share a picture of another guy who passed away. Is he the only male roommate that's died?
Not necessarily, but
I'm not sure if I want to.
He wasn't a wild guy. I don't know. He had long hair, but that doesn't necessarily mean you're a wild guy.
Difficulty attracting male suitors. Moving with Sonia. Your time is limited.
That's what it is. I think that actually does have something to do with it.
Was it just one then? Just to be clear, was this one fellow that this was a story?
That I'm referring to here? Yes. That I'm referring to here? Yes. I don't think there's any others I would have shared. You were
going to say killed, weren't you? But then you decided.
No. I don't kill folks.
We're on to you, Sonia. We're on to you.
I help them gather their ideas before they decide to take off, kind of thing.
Wow.
I'm not sure exactly what you'd call that, but yeah.
Wow. So they know that they're not doing well when they.
Not always, but it's always it's such an entropy type of situation that we find all of ourselves in. So there's always that kind of doom element to the whole thing, you know.
Jeez. Yeah, one of my
Yeah.
wife's favorite words, unfortunately, not lately, because I basically, well, I make it clear to her that it's not the best word to have, you know, repeating on repeat in, you know, with the monkey mind, our little
Yes.
mind monkey, kind of like doom, doom, doom. That's where you need to take the sword of wisdom. You want some magic? Well, take that sword of wisdom that we all carry, and
Right.
cut through with very decisively. And there's here, doom that.
Right.
Doom
Yes.
this, and you
You're absolutely right.
dispel. You see, it's dispelling.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
If there's
Mhm.
some curse or magic, it's like, there you go. And that's what I believe when Christ talked about coming with the sword to divide. I feel you can look at it however you want, of course. It's not just you, but people in general. But in the Buddhist tradition, we have Manjushri, and I think Robert could add a little more to that as well. I often forget Jijangbosa here in Korea. I've got this little wooden, not quite an amulet, but it's a token, or it's a wooden plate of one kind or another. It ties in the whole Tibetan tradition to what we've seen unfold here on the peninsula over the past several hundred years. So there's almost seems to be like an underground secret Tibetan influence, and we picked this up out on the East Coast, the former capital of the Shilla Kingdom, Gyeongju. It's where it just came into our possession, and yeah, Manjushri, Jizang Bosal, I believe, is the same one, and I could read it out just quickly here. It's like Om Mani Padme Padma Prava Padma Sambhava. Yeah, that's right. In Korean, great mudra, Maha Mudra, as well. Mani, Vairachana and Jijang Bosal. I'm not sure if they're different or the same, but and then Kwangmyeong Chinon, which I don't know what that means. I have to ask the wife. So Jijang Bosal, yeah, maybe Manjushri. Anyways, the sword of wisdom, Christ, like obviously, he's not coming to kill anybody, unlike what Muhammad was all about. But that's the thing. I mean, too many, I don't know, Christians. It's a big problem. It's not really inappropriate for this show necessarily, but too much of a fear factor for sure with Halloween. Oh, the pagan influence. Does everybody know what the word pagan even means? We throw it around so loosely. Most people don't even know what it means. I bet someone here might. It's just country dweller or country bumpkin, like some rustic person. And who's responsible for the propaganda? The Catholic Church from the city center. They're the ones with the power issuing the endless like leaflets and getting the rumor mill, getting the rumor mill launched and into high gear, and all sorts of gossip, and once again trying to smear people or frame things in a certain way, poisoning the well. They're good at that as well. Don't forget, folks, if you don't know what that is, it's a fallacy, but it has to do in basically hoodwinking the the public, the people you're targeting. You could say profane, I suppose, but so that in the lead up to things, there's already like it's like your reputation precedes itself, where they've tainted things. I guess in a legal sense, yeah, it's like the evidence has been tainted. It's in the lead up to things, it's everything, all the gossip and rumor mills. It's like, oh, this person is like this, or that health food is, that some that item or product is really not good for you. It's like, oh, stay away from that. So I think they do the same thing with Halloween, just the worst possible straw man, weakest and just representation possible. We need to connect with the. We need to connect.
Interesting phrase there, because there also is the reality of the Wicker Man, which I'd like to get into later. But I want to clarify something about the term hungry ghost.
Okay.
A term in Buddhism and Chinese traditional religion, representing beings who are driven by intense emotional needs in an animalistic way. The Chinese term, Agui, hungry ghost, is the translation of the Sanskrit term preta in Buddhism.
That's right.
Hungry ghosts play a role in Chinese Buddhism, Taoism, and the Chinese folk religion. The term is not to be confused with the generic term for ghosts or damnation, which is gui, the residual spirit of a deceased ancestor. The understanding is that people first become a regular ghost when they die, and then slowly weaken and eventually die a second time. The hungry ghosts, along with animals and hell beings, consist of the three realms of existence no one desires. In these realms, it is extremely difficult to be reborn in a better realm, the realm of humans, asura, or deva, because it is nearly impossible to perform deeds that cultivate good karma. That's a pretty succinct and clear description of the distinction. But, in terms when people are assailed by malevolent spirits or angry enemies, hateful ghosts. Amityville Horror, that's a classic.
Yeah.
Also The Shining is about that. Animalistic, demonic entities that seek to destroy a person or even take them over. And possession is... See, now I have this theory, which I've experienced personally, which is that when a ghost comes to you, there's a message, it's a transmission. So I'd like to just give you briefly 3 ghost experiences that I went through in my life. There are daytime ghost experiences and there are nighttime ghost experiences. It's not always, things that go bump in the night. Ghosts appear in broad daylight. So I'll tell you the first one. I was in Yugoslavia in 1971. Actually, maybe 72, the last time I was there. And I was walking along a very rocky, craggy coast going back to the main island. I was on an off island. And as I was walking along with my girlfriend behind me, I felt something. And, I felt something. I turned and there was somebody in the water. There was a small inlet. It was a small inlet with pristine waters, crystal clear waters. You could drop a quarter down and see it go down 40, 50 feet. It was that clean. The Adriatic coast of Yugoslavia. So I turned and I see this guy glaring at me. And he looked exactly like me. At that time, I wore a big handlebar mustache. I had brown, curly hair. And I have hazel eyes. And I look at him and I go, wow, that guy looks just like me. And I kept walking. I had to watch where I was walking or else I could break my ankle on these craggy rocks. So I still feel the stare. I look again with a friendly look, but it wasn't a friendly look back. It was a glare, like, what are you doing here? And I turned around a third time to say to my girlfriend, hey, Jackie, look at that guy. He looks just like me. But before those words were out of my mouth, she said, Robert, look at that guy. He looks just like you. I said, I know. Let's walk on. So there was another 15 feet of rocks before it became solid ground and beach. So we walked on. I turned around to say hello, hi, how you doing? You look just like me. And when we turned around, there was no one there. And we looked into the water and said, maybe he dove. That's what I said, maybe he dove. And it was just 30 feet, And there was nothing in the water. And we waited and we waited and we waited. And we were there for about 4 or 5 minutes. And Jackie and I were in the twilight zone. We didn't know what to make of it. We were totally befuddled in a state of cognitive dissonance. Well, it always stayed in my mind. I never forgot it because the guy did look like me. Brown hair, curly hair, big mustache, hazel eyes, and the glare. He was beaming something at me. You know, I told you, it wasn't like, wow, you know, you look like me. It wasn't anything like that. It was like electricity coming out of the guy at me. So 45 years later, I come across a documentary on YouTube that is called Why Nikola Tesla Never Got Married. And it was an article or an interview he gave in the 1920s saying that he wasn't marrying because women had changed too radically. Feminism had sprouted out of communism, and that women had given up the divine feminine, that in their desire to be equal to men, they actually had demoted themselves from a higher pedestal, the divine feminine, and started acting like men and challenging men and competing with men. So he found that unpalatable. So the lady who did the documentary had 6 pictures of Nikola Tesla as a boy, as a teenager, as a young man, a mature man, and an old man. And in the mature man picture, she chose a picture of him in a bathing suit on a beach. And I looked at the picture and I said, oh my God, it was him. It was Nikola Tesla. The ghost of Nikola Tesla appeared to me in 1972, treading water on this off island from an island called Ahoy. Years later, maybe 5 years later, I had my DNA done, and it turned out that my father's family settled all around the town and in the town where Nikola Tesla was born. So I feel I have some kinship with that bloodline. Now we move another, this is 72, and during this time, I'm studying Tai Chi, I'm studying Kung Fu, I'm diving into Taoism, meditation, remote viewing, out-of-body experiences, and I got adopted by the Grandmaster of Tai Chi Chuan. I was invited to become a Tai Chi teacher by the world's foremost Grandmaster of Tai Chi Chuan, Professor Cheng Man-ching. And he and I hit it off. I started learning Chinese so I could speak to him directly because he didn't speak English. And he was delighted when I said a few words to him in Chinese. The words I said was, 师父, 请你给我中国名字. And I was in a car driving him and chauffeuring him. And he went like this. I said, what? I said, 师父, 请你给我中国名字. And his son cracks up in the back. Everybody said, what's happening? What's happening? They said, Robert just asked my father to give him a Chinese name. He said, really? And Professor Cheng he put out his hand. An incredible, they don't shake hands with anybody. He put out his hand to me to shake hands with me. And I tell you, I shook hands with him and it was like shaking hands with a cloud. It was insubstantial. So he goes away to Taiwan. I keep studying Chinese, like just, blitzkrieg, And during that period of time, 2 years that he was gone, a year and a half, I would start to think, when he comes back, I'm going to ask him, I'm going to talk to him in Chinese. I'm going to ask him questions. Yeah. And I started thinking in Chinese while doing the Tai Chi form. And then as I was thinking the questions in Chinese, I was hearing an answer in Chinese, and I go, I'm probably asking a very common sense question. And I explain, my rational mind explained that phenomenon that way, that I would think a question in Chinese, and the natural answer to the question would come back to me in Chinese in my brain. So on March 28th of 1975, I had been practicing Tai Chi. That was my routine, practicing Tai Chi, doing Kung Fu, doing calligraphy. And at about 3:30 in the afternoon, something happened. My energy got weak. I can't explain it except that all the vitality that I had in me just went, and I felt shaky. But prior to this, 5 days prior to this, I had a dream that I was standing in the living room in my apartment. This used to be upstairs on the 6th floor. that had a window to the southeast. And I looked up out the window and I saw a 747 airliner that was descending. It had lost its engines and it was descending and it was going to crash into my building. And this voice said, "Get out of here, Robert, you might die." And in the dream, I ran through the apartment to an inner section where it'd be safer. I heard the crash. I looked out the window and I opened the window and the airliner had crashed into the building across from me. And it was straddled across my building and the next building. And I looked up and I saw an engine break off and crash down into this monolithic rock that I have right outside my window. It exploded and the shrapnel was flying at me. And I was thrown back by the explosion. And I woke up sweating and trembling and shaking. And the thought that came to me was, my brother is in mortal danger. And I thought of my regular brothers, and they were far away. I said, well, what can I do about it? So a couple of days later, I was with a very psychic lady from Chile in South America. And I said, you know, I had this dream. And she said, oh, Robert, that's somebody very close to you who's going to die. And I said, oh, God, please, let it not be my family or my mother or my brothers. And then on Friday, the 28th of March, 1975, this thing happened to me where I just felt shaky. So I went down and I laid down in bed and wrapped myself in a blanket. And in 5 minutes, less than 5 minutes, I had an out-of-body experience. My soul was out of my body and back in the same place where I was 5 days before in the dream of the crash of the 747. I looked up the window and there was no 747. But then this thought passed through my head and it said, Robert, get back into your body. There's somebody else in here. And I said to myself, that's a strange thought to think. And then the voice said, Robert, get back into your body. There's somebody else in here. Whoop, I'm back in my body, but I'm paralyzed. I'm awake, but paralyzed. I can't move. My right eye was closed, my left eye was open, and I could see the floor and the room into the other room. But there was 2 rooms separated by sliding doors, but they were open. And I see somebody walking toward me, dressed in a black garment that looked like a long skirt. And I started to get scared, you know, because I'm alone in my apartment. I have this experience unfolding, and I have an intruder. So it's coming toward me, and I clenched my fist. And this voice in the calmest tone said, don't be afraid, Robert. Nothing can harm you. And the voice was so kind and reassuring that I said, okay, I'm gonna weather this out. Came to the side of my bed, stood by my bed, dressed in a black gown. Then I saw a hand reach out, a golden hand touched me right here. And I felt love, incomprehensible love. That's all I can call it. And I said to myself, who could this be? Could this be Christ? And I was no longer afraid because I'm being filled with this love. I said to myself, the only love that I can compare to what I'm feeling now is the love of a concerned parent for an ailing child. You know, a parent whose child is in mortal danger or in a coma or a fever. And that's what I felt. I said, this person loves me so much. Who could this be? So paralyzed though I was, with all my might, I took this hand. And I have then I had an even more powerful hand because I practiced tiger claw kung fu. We used to do 100 fingertip push-ups at a time. So with these 5 fingers, I tried to pry this eyelid open because if I could open this eyelid, I could see the face of the person. And, you know, that, no matter what I did, like, no, I said, no way. That's out of my head. My brain,
yeah,
you know,
yeah, exactly.
that's left brain.
Right.
Left brain couldn't handle it. Right brain, my left eye was in bliss. Like, no, you can't see it. And I went like that. And when I did that, the person said, okay, I'm stepping back, stepped back, walked away. Then I saw the back of a white-haired head. It was male. And then I saw the long black robe, and I saw the shoes. And as he walked away, the feet looked like they didn't touch the ground. And I said, my God, that's what I said to myself. My God, his feet look like they don't touch the ground. So when he walked back fully, now the whole figure is visible to me. He's in the other room. I saw him dissolve from upper right shoulder to lower left leg. And he just went. And I said to myself, oh my God, that's why they call them shades. And then I said to myself, that's just like the teleporter, the teleportation machine in Star Trek. I remember this so vividly. That's just like the teleportation machine in Star Trek. And as soon as he disappeared, I popped up and I was like, wow, what the hell just happened to me? And I was in a state, you can imagine, I was in a state. I was in a state of bliss. I was in a state of ecstasy. And I called my girlfriend, who was a lovely Chinese and Irish German girl. Ooh. A unique person. And I told her, you got to come up here. This just happened to me. So she came up, and I was telling her the story as I told it to you, with one minor deletion, which I'll leave it to you then. And the door sounded, and I went to the door, and I opened it, and my friend Kenny Morano was there. He's a, he lived with our family. He was a rock and roller, and a very gifted artist. And he had a really long face. I said, hey, Kenny, what's happening? And he said, Robert, I have some bad news for you. And I said to myself, what could be so bad as to make his face look like that? Because he was a very happy, cheerful guy. What could be so bad as to make his face look like that? And he said, Professor Cheng is dead. He died 3 days ago in Taiwan. My friend Mr. Khan just read it in the Chinese newspaper. When he said those words to me, I took a step back. I had a flash of light in my brain. It was an atomic explosion, and a mushroom cloud went like that through my head. And I thought of the dream 5 days before that told me, you better get out of here because you might die. And I said to myself, that just happened. The man I was an hour and a half ago is dead. I will never be the same again. I will never be the same again. And I saw my whole life flash right through my, like flashbacks. They say when you die, you see a flashback of your life. Well, up to that moment, I saw a flashback of my life. And I saw every decision I had ever made, every deed I'd ever done, the good, the bad, the ugly, and the beautiful, every jaywalk. I thought of all the lights in New York City when I crossed against the red light. Every single action that I had made in my life up to that moment led to that moment. And the man I was no longer there. I had become a totally new person. And I knew that now I had been touched by a ghost. It's one thing to see a ghost, but to be physically touched by a ghost is a totally different thing. And as a result, as I said, there was this universal love and incomprehensible love, but there was a download. Because after that, I knew things about Tai Chi that I had never learned. And so I devoted my life to Tai Chi because I said to myself, if this old man loved me so much to come out of the grave and touch me, then I am destined to follow this path and dedicate myself to Tai Chi for the rest of my life. And that was the turning point of my life. And it opened the channel. It opened this channel where I have one foot here and I have another foot on the other side of life. And that led me to March 30th, 1981. I was at Oberlin College. And I arrived at Oberlin College in the morning, and my host was late. And she said, I'm sorry I'm late to pick you up at the airport, but strange things are happening at Oberlin. 2 professors in the religion department have died in the last month, and the second one died this morning. So I said, it's okay, I understand, let's just go. And I started teaching this program I taught as a winter studies professor, visiting lecturer at Oberlin College. And in the afternoon, we get word that Ronald Reagan was shot in Washington. And I go, oh my God, you know? And I said to the class, why should any of you be surprised? All we've heard for the last few months in the mass media is how much people hate Ronald Reagan. So of course something like this had to happen. So why are you surprised? But it was really troubling, you know, and then we start seeing, you know, the whole thing about Hinckley, blah, blah, blah. So that night, I'm going to bed. You know, the whole ordeal of the day, you know, like just what we went through with Charlie Kirk, you know. But it's Ronald Reagan, somebody that I liked since childhood. And so 10:30 at night, I'm ready to retire. I'm walking across the room. I had been reading a C.S. Lewis book called Perelandra. It's a series. And I get into bed. I pull up the cover. The room is illuminated by a street lamp that's as high as the second floor room where I was. So the room is in light. Even though the lights were out, I could see everything. I could see the desk, my bed, the next bed, the desk. I'm just thinking about this, and a thought came to me. Something evil is walking this planet, and it's killing good men. And it's always the same story, you know, a lone assassin, a lone nut. And as I'm thinking these thoughts, I'm reclined, you know, I'm lying back like this. My peripheral vision saw something, and I looked to my left. When I looked to my left, I saw a white figure come through the wall and start to walk in slow motion toward me. And my body started to tremble, started to shake. And with each step that he took closer to me, it shook even more. And I started to tremble and shake, you know, uncontrollably, I have to say. But my mind was still together. And I went back to the experience with Professor Cheng. As his ghost was coming to me, I started to get scared, as I said. But he said to me, don't be afraid, Robert. Nothing can harm you. So I seized that. I said, nothing can harm me. Love will protect me. And I start saying to this spirit, this ghost, who was dressed in white from head to foot, with what I thought was like a pharaoh's headdress and a veil over his face. I start saying to him, I love you, but I don't want to see your face. I love you, but I don't want to see your face. I love you, but I don't want to see your face. Over and over and over. And then I said to myself, as I was saying these words, he's in slow motion. He's walking toward me like I do Tai Chi. He's trying not to frighten me, but I am scared beyond, I'm terrified. Okay? I love you, but I don't want to see your face. I love you. And I started crying. I love you, but I don't want to see your face. On and on. And I said to myself, this is the most powerful person that's ever walked the earth. He's trying not to frighten me. I love you, but I don't want to see your face. And he comes slowly across the foot of my bed, and the closer he got, the more panic I felt. Every cell in my body was screaming, shrieking. You know, when Obi-Wan Kenobi felt the death of the Death Star, and he said, oh, my heart. It's as if I heard 3 trillion voices crying out all at once, you know? That's what it was like. And he's coming across the foot of my bed, and he's coming around my bed, and he's coming closer. And then my scientific brain kicks in and says, oh, first of all, I said, this is death. Because my heart's going, kaboom, 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 kaboom. And I said, this is death. This is why they find people dead in the morning and say, this poor guy had a heart attack. And I looked at my chest, and it was heaving. And I felt like I had a shell of concrete that was keeping my heart inside. And then my brain said, oh my God, this is antimatter. I was trying to explain, well, how can I be seeing this? This is antimatter. And I said to myself, oh my God, if he touches me, poof, we're both gone, annihilated. comes to the foot of my bed. He looks down at me. And as he looks down at me, I see the veil. And I said to him, please, please don't lift the veil. I'm strong, stronger than most people are, but please, I wouldn't be able to take it. Please, if you lift the veil, I'm going to die. So what he did is he took the veil and he pressed it against his face. And he leaned down over me and he came this close to me, nose to nose. And he said to me, behold my face, remember me. And I said, who are you? Who could you be? Could you be the Christ? Could you be my soul? Could you be the soul of a Sufi master that I know? Who are you? I know you, but I haven't seen you in so long. And then he said again, now in the imperative, behold my face, remember me. And I said again, who are you? I know you, but I haven't seen you in so long. And he said to me, we don't want you speaking to people of what you know. And I said, we? Where are you coming from? Are you threatening me? He said, Lucifer has taken over Islam and is going to use it as his vehicle to destroy mankind. And I was shocked and I said, I understand. And he just nodded. He stood up. He went. And for as long as it took for him to get to me, that's how long it took him to go. And then he went right through the wall. And I remember the right side of me was closer to him, so my right side was in more panic than my left side. So when he stood up, I was relieved here, but my leg was still close to him. And every cell in my leg was screaming. And then he passed the foot of my bed. He was passing by my feet, and my toes and feet were screaming. And as he passed each toe calmed down. The pinky toe, the ring toe, the middle toe, the index toe, and the big toe of the right foot. And then past the left foot. And my little pinky toe was the last closest thing to him as he walked away. And that poor little guy was going, wah! I can laugh about it now, but I almost died. I swear to God. By the grace of God, I'm alive to tell this story.
Intense, huh? Wow.
And he went out. And that changed my life forever. And I withdrew from everything that I was doing because I was preaching syncretism. I was saying to people, everybody's fighting over religion, but it really is there's only one God, there's only one religion, and, we're all fighting over names. And no, I was wrong. And he came to warn me, you don't have the big picture.
Yeah.
Just stop saying what you're saying and start studying. And that's when I began the very serious dive into Islam. And that's how I discovered the meaning of the satanic verses. That's how I discovered why they put a death penalty on Salman Rushdie, because he wrote a book called The Satanic Verses. And when I read the Satanic Verses, I also read the manuscript that the professor died that morning I arrived. That professor died on his typewriter. He just collapsed, typing to the last second of his life. And he turned out to be the Western world's foremost expert on Shia Islam. So it took me 9 years to get the manuscript. So I'm reading the Satanic Verses, I'm reading the manuscript, and I'm going, holy mackerel, they want to kill Salman Rushdie, not because he mocked Islam. They want to kill him because he told the truth. Muhammad embraced Satan as the God of Islam. And then subsequently, 300 years later, a Luciferian heresy introduced itself into Islam through a guy named Ash'al-Magani. He started to teach that he had arrived at Godhead by practicing a particular form of meditation, which was that he always followed the opposite of the truth. And because he had arrived at Godhead by following the opposite of the truth or untruth is a higher cosmic principle than truth.
Is this before or after Sabbatai Tzvi?
It's before.
It's
Good
before.
question. Good
I
question.
see. Okay.
But it's before the Templars. in the First Crusade.
Wow.
So First Crusade happened. The Templars embraced this theology and absorbed it, took it back to Europe. It became the core belief of the Templars. And from the Templars to the Masons, and from the Templars to Sabbatai Tzvi, because Sabbatai Tzvi got it in Turkey. He was a Jewish rabbi with a large following in Turkey, and the Caliph brought him in and said, you either convert to Islam or you're dead. So he said, oh, I can live with that.
Yeah.
So he absorbed it from the Turkish Islamic tradition.
Oh, but he lived his life out as a crypto Jew, I believe. Like he
was Jew.
But he secretly practiced his own form of, like, a corrupted form of Judaism, didn't he?
He amalgamated the two, and then he escaped from Turkey, went to North Africa. From there, he went to Yugoslavia. From Yugoslavia, he went to Poland, and that's how Sabbateanism spread through Eastern Europe.
Poland, yeah, good. It's Benjamin Netanyahu, and Netanyahu, not his the surname he was born with. But it'd been more Hebraic sounding name via Poland, and I think there's been a few of the Israeli prime ministers.
Yeah. Well, anyway, he declared Sabbatai Tzvi declared himself the Messiah on June 6, 1666.
Yeah.
And then he transferred that teaching to Jacob Frank.
Mm-hmm.
And Jacob Frank, financed by the Rothschilds, en masse, Jacob Frank and 5,000 Sabbateans converted to Catholicism.
The Frankists, and becoming crypto Jews.
Crypto Jews in Catholicism.
Yeah, infiltrating. That's right. Yeah.
And they transferred that heresy and that Luciferic theology to the Catholic Church. And that's why I say all the three world religions have been hijacked by Luciferism. And that's what it is, New World Order is.
We've only got a couple minutes left here, so let's just, let's end 1666. Speaking of corrupting and heresy, that's why we got to watch out with Halloween, Samhain, that, with the traditions as we are, either are told, or either practice them or regard them, that they have long-standing, deep historical roots and not always in the purest original sense. So, Alan, let's hear one more time from you. Oh, gee, it looks like we missed out. No chance to get DK on board here, Alan. What a shame. What a pity. Oh.
Yes, I bet.
Oh.
Yeah, I bet you.
How many F-bombs did he drop there in the side chat? It's like...
Oh, one or two. Yeah.
It's like, and he's a race trader, Jeffy, the race trader. He could has he been drinking tonight?
Yeah, well, you'll get him on. You'll get him on one day, I'm sure. Have to get him on.
Nah, hey, 3 strikes and you're out, man. It's like he just it's like a dog, It's like, look, man, would you keep going? A dog that bites you, you keep going up to that dog. And you think, the dog, it's going to be nice. And you keep getting bit. Would you really keep doing that? Just trying to, be nice and give him food and water and medicine and
hey, Jeffy, thanks very much for having me on today. And Robert, you're a star, mate. You're a fucking legend. And cheerio to everybody. See you later, Sonia.
Amos Dale 777. We'll add your
cheers, guys.
Contact information.
Thank you, Alan.
Yeah.
Thank you, Alan.
Yeah.
I really appreciate it.
Mate, you're a legend, mate. Good on you. Love your work.
Good stuff. Yeah. Happy sailing. Sonia, galacticfire.com. Actually, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of DK, he's been selling a few T-shirts as of late, so that's good. Did you know him? Did you know him before coming into contact with us, or is that all because of...
I did not.
Oh,
it is all because of you guys.
Oh,
yep, that's right.
So it's one more reason for him to unleash the profane tirade. And
I started following Alan's show, and then that's when I ran into DK.
Right. Yeah. Did you apologize?
For what?
Running into him.
No, I did not.
No, I hope there wasn't too much damage done. So, yeah, galacticfire.com. All right. Well, I'm sure we'll be in touch here shortly, and don't be afraid to send the occasional email, to the real _ Jaffe Rider. My personal account is the best usually. So yeah, and
Thank you very much.
yeah, yeah. Is there anything else? Like, I'm sure it's too bad we didn't have more time, but we'll revisit these issues and on all fronts when we get the chance or in the future too. Robert Morningstar, Substack.
Yeah, I have a friend here who wants to say a little bit of something about Poland.
Quickly, Janon. I'm sorry, we're going to get cut off here.
You're going to get in there.
Okay. Hello, everyone. I'm just
Oh, no. You know what? We had better, just out of, for politeness sake, we don't typically do this, but let's call poor Janon back up. She wants to talk about Poland. This sounds really important, critical, and so we'll go that extra mile in reaching out to her. So see if we can do this here. If Teams is wanting to cooperate, which right now it's not sure why that is. Maybe they're limiting to to 2 1-hour sessions, and that's it. That's about as far as it goes. I have no idea. Let's see what we can do here. But yeah, hopefully, to this point, everyone has been enjoying this week's live stream Pirate Radio podcast, episode number 358, our annual Samhain, a.k.a. Halloween live stream. We got to get to the comments here too, so fear not, we will be doing so probably when we're done connecting with Robert and Janon. We can then transition to the comment end of things. Are they going to be able to answer the call? Just everyone hopefully as patient as possible. So yeah, Zane Ivy, Just Mech. We got 666 Mafia. I believe that's a new face and ID via D Live. Thank you, Just Rev. I'm not sure. He donated a pumpkin. I guess, is that a pumpkin? So I don't know what actually that entails exactly, but we're getting some decent support here on that front. 666 Mafia, 777, Just Mech, Just Rev, Amos Dale. We had Gully Rat, pretty active there as well, and Roger Hansen too, over on D Live. So, but we will get to the comments here in just a few moments, where we we'll give it one more attempt here to. I'm not sure why nothing is happening. It's we're not able to. Let's see. Sorry for the delay once again, folks, and be sure to. We've got a few minutes here, so if you do have any last-minute comments, links, thoughts, anything along those lines you'd like to leave with us here, by all means, have at it. As far as our weekend is concerned, though, once we wrap up here with the live stream, we'll probably be taking care of the cats, doing some laundry, some mundane household chores, meditating, reflecting on the Halloween season and all that it entails. The shadow. Ought people fear the shadow? We all have one, don't we? And it's said that that's really not the best approach if you are looking to maintain and live a life where your psyche is in optimal form, then
Hello.
the shadow must, it requires that the shadow be embraced, the dark side. Yeah, we got you back. So, you know, we're going that extra mile here for you, Robert and Janan. Just so now, this is, I'm not sure how Halloweeny this is, but you wanted to say something about Poland, is that right?
Oh yeah, this is just particularly for Halloween, because in Poland they have a very interesting holiday. You know, I guess it's similar to the Mexican idea of the Day of the Dead.
Right.
And they don't call it Halloween. It's not Celtic, but it is the Day of the Dead. They celebrate it on November 1st.
Mm-hmm.
And then and November 2nd, they call All Souls Day.
Right.
So it's a 2-day holiday, and they have
yeah, you want to give Robert a kick in the pants there. Leave
Robert, thank you, Jeffrey, for saying this. But apparently, as I understand, it's one of the most special experiences on Earth. What happens in Poland, because the whole country takes it very seriously. They prepare for beforehand, and they almost every grave that you can see is covered with candle flowers and so on in all the cemeteries around the whole country.
Mm-hmm. Well, this is Poland, is what you're talking about. Is it? That's right.
Yes.
Very Catholic, obviously. I mean, John Paul II was Polish, as memory serves, and it's very Catholic. Benjamin Netanyahu as well. We're talking crypto Jews and the infiltration of this heresy from 1666 into the Catholic Church. But Day of the Dead, All Saints Day, November 1st, and All Souls Day, November 2nd. So it's very similar is what you're saying, I guess. That's, yeah.
Yeah, I just thought you'd be interested in that, because
yeah, sure.
It's apparently one of the great fascinating things that happens in our whole world, because it's rare to see such a event occur among people like that. So the whole country is united in it. And apparently it's very, very uplifting. It's very spiritual. And you know, and it's all about these ideas of similar ideas, but it's its own happening, you know. Yeah,
and rebirth has got to be there as well too, as far as universal themes are concerned, because you know, death and rebirth. It's not satanic in any way, is it?
Well, I'm not sure if it's rebirth, but it's about remembrance, and,
right?
And I guess it's about connecting with the other side in love, and
of course,
your loved ones. It's focused on your loved ones, and then, but it involves apparently this, I guess, larger concepts of all souls and all saints and all these special connections one can have. Yeah, so.
Well, it's really interesting too, because the Catholic Church adding All Saints Day on November 1st, and I guess All Souls Day November 2nd. How they didn't see, this is why they've been so successful. The Catholic Church, they don't necessarily try to eliminate pre-existing beliefs, traditions, and so forth. Rather, they absorb. They're like, oh yeah, no, we can have that, no problem, and then they add their own interpretation that they add on to it, similar to how Robert was speaking earlier of how so many churches if you if you look around, it just so happened, maybe not so coincidentally, to be built on even earlier, for far more historic pagan sites of religious practice and so forth.
Exactly. So it has kind of evolved into its own, like a whole new. Yeah.
Hey, I got a quick question for you. Have you read? I bet you Robert has, but you can ask him about this too if he's not able to get back to us. Sir, we'll be wrapping up momentarily. But Fraser's Golden Bough, the book, The Golden Bough, and it's like an magnus opus of what's his first name? Fraser. Oh bloody hell! I can't remember his first name, but it has to do, and it actually is said to, with Apocalypse Now, which that was, who did the book that was? It's another famous author. I guess Robert would know. Apocalypse Now, maybe you would. Not Franz Kafka. Why am I brain dumping right now?
Robert.
Yeah. Maybe he's still on the phone, but no, this is fine. Basically, something about the nigger and Narcissus, and he dropped the N word, did he? Narcissus? You can't say that. But no, this is the book. This is the book that was written. It was like, with it was like the nigger of something or another. But it was. Why am I brain dumping it? Robert. Fraser's Golden Bough, isn't it start with a G, his first name? And then secondly, who was the author that wrote, you remember Apocalypse Now? There was an earlier book that I should remember, that was based on Apocalypse Now. And so the Colonel Kurtz.
Wasn't it The Secret Sharer by Joseph Conrad?
Okay, Joseph Conrad was the author, I believe, yes.
Joseph, the original.
No.
The original.
Well, maybe it was titled that, but it was about this journey up the river.
Yeah, up the Congo River.
Right. What the
hell? Heart of Darkness.
There we go. And so, yeah, I guess Apocalypse Now was, to a large extent, they used a fair deal of illusion, and spelled ALLUSION versus the other, similar but a little different, the A illusion. So yeah, the Nigger of the Narcissus, wasn't that title of another one of his books, Conrad's?
I'll have to look it up.
Yeah, similar. I'm not sure he wrote another one called Secret Agent, of course. But was it Gordon Fraser, Gerald Fraser? Why am I
James? I
James Fraser. It's a big book too. It's like a double. It's like a magnus opus, is it not? Like it's huge. Is
ghosts right here.
Aren't there two books combined? So, but the reason I brought that up is because I think this would be really appropriate for many people. Not only human sacrifice, or just any sacrifice, ritual sacrifice, including just food and water and drink, of course. And the like, but ancient sacrificial rites and pagan religious practices, I think largely is what he unpacks there throughout.
Yes, I think that as far as I understand, the Druids considered this also the beginning of the new year.
Yep.
Summer's End. Summer's End.
Summer's End, and what it meant was the beginning of the journey into the very darkest time of the year,
right.
The time when we have between October 31st and the winter solstice. It's we have roughly 7 weeks, and so it's just the journey into the very darkest time.
The heart of darkness. That's right.
Exactly, and that's when they feel that the darkest moment is the beginning. So this is like a new year of the light. So this is the beginning of the darkness that gives that prepares for that time. And so they feel this is like the beginning of the year, which I find that very interesting.
Didn't know that. Yeah, I didn't know that. It's the winter solstice, and see, that's one of the reasons why we're so committed, even though there's nothing really in it for us other than hopefully a little good karma. With the Operation Secret Santa, I think this is now our 11th year, but that we're doing our part in promoting. You could say Christ consciousness, but Christmas, the Christmas spirit and the warmth and keeping the spark alive, the divine spark, without which we would all die. We would all die, so we're extending that.
Yes. And just some final notes that, I understand from a special researcher into these things that there was a period for a time when Druid schools in the Celtic lands were keepers of very high knowledge, very special sacred knowledge, and they were actually, as I understand from this very special researcher, that Jesus Christ actually and his family were actually there with those people in those Druid schools for a time. They had a connection there, which is very fascinating because his Joseph of Arimathea was part of his family, his Mary's uncle.
That was his uncle. Yeah, that's my understanding. So definitely.
Mary's uncle.
A very wealthy man. Yeah. Wait a minute. Mary of Magdala?
No. His mother, Mary.
I'm sorry. Okay, so that was Mary's brother.
I think it was her uncle.
Her uncle.
It was Mary's uncle.
Oh, so it was Joseph of Arimathea was his great uncle.
That's right. Yes.
That's right.
He was a very wealthy guy apparently, and a member of the Sanhedrin, which would make sense. Like they might not have won the vote to keep, to make a scapegoat of Christ, but at least to retain the body in very, prompt fashion,
respectful,
quickly.
Yeah.
But and
by the way, you are correct about Joseph Conrad and the nigger and the Narcissus.
Yeah, so he was
drop the N-word.
Yeah.
Hey.
Yeah. That was the name of the book.
I'm sorry. The book is called that.
I have one more.
And Huckleberry Finn loved his friend.
Woman is the nigger of the woman is the of the world. John Lennon. Okay. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Malarkey.
But one more note about the
nobody uses
the
it more than the
blood and Holy Grail.
Yes.
We don't really know. I think in terms of those things, and it seems that Mother Mary, yes. And there was Mary Magdalene, and we have situations where Christ was not necessarily involved, but his disciples and his dear people like Mary Magdalene and his mother, were in different places. And so these things, particularly the Black Madonna, as I also learned from this special researcher, may relate to actually the wood that it was carved on, which was in ebony. Like they have that special sacred, beautiful wood in that Middle Eastern region and in the Mediterranean area.
Lebanon, in particular, I believe. There's certain...
Baja, ebony. Ebony.
I see.
So, yes. So it's a remarkable wood because it's so dark and it's so... and it may have been, as I understand, a likeness of Mother Mary. But anyhow, there's so much to explore about it. So, okay, well, thank you so much.
Hey, and just to cap it off, because we're on the subject, a lot of people don't know, I thought there was two, but there might have only been one. Then again, fact check this, folks. And who is the ancient explorer? Who's this guy? Remember the Jewish Canadian fellow, Jewish guy that, what is he called?
Robert.
is it naked archaeologist?
Simka
Yeah.
Jakovich.
What's his name again?
Simka.
The naked
Yeah,
archaeologist.
The naked
the
archaeologist.
glasses
Simka
and little yarmulke or whatever it is. You know, so
Romanian.
he does great work. But I'm not sure if he's visited the. It was only came to light a number of years ago. You would hope that he would have been there by now, but there was a temple where the name Mary Magda was revealed, you know.
Yes.
And so you heard about that? Maybe you looked into it. I saw a couple videos, and
But also, more importantly,
Apocalypse Now.
He discovered that in the ossuary of Caiaphas was the high priest who framed Jesus.
Yes.
They found his ossuary, which is a bone box.
Mm-hmm.
When they opened up the crypt where it was stored, they found 2 nails. One was inside the box and one was outside the box. The one outside the box was very corroded. And it seems like they just threw it in as an afterthought. But he said, why would Caiaphas be buried with 2 nails? And they were nails typical of Roman crucifixion nails. So Simka Jakovich, a Jewish researcher and called the naked archaeologist, discovered that the nails that the Romans, 2 of the nails that the Romans used to crucify Jesus Christ.
Yeah, well, again, on that note, it's not. It's very interesting because he may have requested the nails, but as we know, there was a tremendous amount of goings on around that event of the crucifixion, and almost everything from the crucifixion was as unbelievably holy and considered almost like a relic. So it's highly unlikely that that he might have been given the real nails, but it's interesting that he may have requested the nails
from the Romans.
Yeah, and he may have, but most people that were witness to the crucifixion, as I understand, were highly impacted by the holiness of the event, and so everything that was touched to do with his situation of his body and so forth became extremely cherished.
Significant, that's right. Yeah.
Significant. Mm-hmm. And Caiaphas seems to have been the main person behind and what his purpose was is interesting discussion too, but he seems to be the main force behind the fact of the crucifixion. So yeah, it's very interesting.
We should have a show on that. I'm sorry we have to go.
No, that's fine.
I have to make a call.
But I'll just finish now with just to tell you, New York City on Halloween has also evolved to its own holiday too.
Good.
Right?
Well,
it's it's a whole new thing of its own too, because it's become a very, very enjoyable experience. Like people just enjoy the thought of of transformation, colorful, and playfulness.
Well,
so it's it's really here. Yeah.
Good. Well, yeah, and I'm sure there is a dark side to it as well. That people, that's their exercising their free will, going to places that they may, at some point, sooner or later, live to regret. The sort of activities.
It's overwhelmingly.
But that underground exists all the time. It's not.
All the time. Well, that's right. Yes.
There are many places. Unfortunately, I discovered that. Do have a very negative, can have a negative experience of Halloween. But, here, at least in Manhattan, there are tremendous amount of very playful and lovely experiences of community.
Sure.
People with instruments and doing things with children. And, I've just been out and about in it for several hours. So
oh yeah. Good.
Yeah, it was really lovely, actually.
Oh.
So,
okay, sorry, we have to go. I have to make a call to Montana.
So,
not a problem. Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Yes, Janan. Pleasure.
Okay.
Bye.
Good night. Happy Halloween. Happy Samhain. However one chooses to mark or otherwise. I'm not really one who's in a celebratory. Although I think I understand where Janana's coming from. I do get that. My wife really enjoys that end of things as well. And it's mostly for kids, of course, with the candy and costumes. Although the adults seem to, there's a lot of Halloween parties for adults as well, different venues and functions. So, but yeah, I mean, hey, it's the second biggest holy day next to Christmas in the Western calendar. Holy day. So we've hopefully managed to go about marking and commemorating in a manner that has provided you with sufficient information, insight, food for thought, and the like. We're gonna get the comments here as promised. We've been touched on a few of them up to this point, but just out of even though we don't, there's no super chats. We've been capped at the knees by YouTube, and that's one of the reasons we do appreciate the support on DLive and elsewhere. The PayPal, Pirate One Radio, at ProtonMail.com. It's not that complicated, folks. And you can offer anonymous support or otherwise. It's completely up to you. Half of everything going directly back to charity. The merchandise end of things too, let's not forget. Coffee mugs and t-shirts via Galactic Fire. And if you check out the show description end of things, you'll find there are other locations as well that you can, links you can click on, drop by and visit. South Korea, says Zane Ivy, making it illegal to import Brazil's natural tobacco for personal use. What a load of horse pucky that is. I'm not sure when that was, but just have to get it somewhere else, I guess. What do they have? The finest quality and brands? What exactly is the deal? There is a lot of talk about it being very beneficial in some ways, and just that's what you're left with, people, when you find yourself born into a world of lies, really, deception and lies. The devil's playground. There's nothing of this world that hasn't been corrupted at all. Show me something that hasn't. Today, it is infinitely easier to kill 1 million people than to control 1 million people. Good old Zbigniew Brzezinski, who that's attributed to. Thank you once again, Zane. And I think we certainly saw that via the course of the scamdemic, as it was. What did people actually do to themselves? Caucasians and blacks getting hit the hardest is how the story goes. Well, Finns, people from Finland, Han, Chinese, and partly Koreans here as well, the country known as Hanguk. There's bound to be a Chinese genetic influence in the mix here. It's come down to them throughout the years. The Finns, the Han Chinese, and the Ashkenazi Jews, not the Sephardics. Sephardics getting more of a raw deal, I guess, is what we've heard. But the Ashkenazi is more of a free pass. So it almost would look like a racially specific bioweapon of sorts that was engineered and put into high gear via gain of function. So maybe Brzezinski knew what he was talking about, in a sense of, as what Bertrand Russell, how he laid it out: injection, injunction, and diet, and in pursuit of their worldwide eugenics agenda, where we find now Bill Gates, among others, central players, clearly. Infinitely easier to kill 1 million people than control them. Okay, pan, le pain, bread. Bang. I noticed that as well years ago too, Zane, but thank you for reminding us. This is really important. In Korea, bang, 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 bang. Rice, bop, bop, bop. Bread, bang, bang, bang. Bam, bam, bam. Very similar indeed. Same in Japanese and Korean. Korean is what he says here, from the Portugal folks, he presumes. That could be. How long has bread been a part of Korean culture and society? You know, so much that of an international influence and import over the years. The assumption of Mary is a Catholic doctrine of faith, hence there should be no body. No, those heretics. So, it gets. They do some real the mental gymnastics that the apologists and their apologetics that they engage in. It's hilarious on one end of things, and then pathetic seen from another point of view. Aren't the Merovingians Canaanites in their origins? Sorry we couldn't have got that out to Robert earlier, but that's a great question. Aren't the Merovingians Canaanites in their origin? I bet you Robert would be able to handle that one. So, French tax records have her. This is Marcon's she-male, or however it is that she self-identifies, or he, and how we then in turn are expected to refer to them. It gets kind of confusing, really, if you ask me. Speaking of all the hoops, people are expected to jump through the gymnastics, the cognitive dissonance, really, too. It's like, what? He is a she, and she's a he. Dude looks like a lady, and it's like, come on. So, but French tax records have her listed as male as well. Yeah, I have heard that. She's apparently trying to get that changed too. Maybe talk to Obama. He seems to have a little history in that department, does he not? The birth records and the like. So, all right. And thank you to Roger Hansen, along with everyone else. But Roger checked that a little early. Had a long day, getting late. And I think, he stuck around long enough for him to have the chance to soak up and engage in a little of what we're offering, of course, or had in the offering this week. We will be back this coming Tuesday night, God willing, or if you prefer karma willing, whatever the wider karmic situation is. I have no idea, but that is a plan, at least on schedule as always, with the latest weekly edition of World Pirate Radio News. WPRPN.com, the main website. Pirate One Radio at protonmail.com, our email address. If you have any PayPal donations or show suggestions and guest ideas you like to bounce off of us, that's the way to do it. Liking, commenting, sharing, remembering to hit subscription notification buttons, passing word on to friends, family, and coworkers. It's the sort of thing that we really appreciate, folks, and it's one of the few things that can actually help to generate more underground, independent, live streaming, digital pirate synergy here. The sort of energy that we really depend on, we require to expand and to grow, to ultimately hopefully find a little wider audience and niche of listeners. So, having said all this, on behalf of Captain Long John Sinclair and all the rest of the crew down here in Skullport Harbor, until we meet again via these high, often all too intrepid digital seas, I'm your host, as always, Robin Hood's Chief Communications Officer, Jaffe Ryder, reminding you, keep your ear to the ground and eyes to the sky. Happy Halloween, Samhain, however it is you choose to practice things. We'll see you again. Tally-ho.
Aye now, there we be. Having carefully looked over each of our navigation panel instruments,
checking every level, switch, dial, cable, knob, and pulley, by all accounts and indications, we indeed see it's time, once again, to drop anchor inside Mystic Bay.
Draw an end to yet another week of World Pirate Radio Live.
Remember,
if you're looking for a little more animated online action,
keep in mind we've likely got yet another great free-flowing Rogues Gallery after show
coming up for the next hour in one of our more premium exclusive and remote digital underground online pirate hideaways. Also, if you yourself have a new,
novel, intriguing, or otherwise underreported idea, unique individual, or pressing item in mind, be sure to either drop us a line directly over on WPRPN.com or fire us a quick email
via PirateOneRadio@ProtonMail.com.
We're always open to exploring fresh creative suggestions, intriguing guest ideas, cutting-edge discussion topics, and captivating themes.
Remember, WPRPN.com member site subdomain links are also always available.
Great for artists, musicians, podcasters, bloggers, social media personalities,
or pretty much just any old land lover
looking to boost their online visibility, presence, and reach.
Basic personal profile accounts can be launched for just $60 per year.
Staking your claim now helps not only strengthen you and the network, we're also looking out for the little guy. That's right, folks. As much as half of all WPRPN's profits are redirected right back into the hands of the people who really need it most. Community charity. After all, we are the Robin Hood.
You can further embark on your own personal pirate journey by either liking, sharing,
commenting on, subscribing to, or just following us via virtually any mainstream social media platform, including Twitter, Facebook,
Gab,
or Minds.com. So don't forget to become engaged. Until we meet again out on the high digital seas, I'm your host as always, the ship's Chief Communications Officer, Jaffe Ryder. Tally-ho.